Hey, what's up you guys? It's Lexi DIY and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're in the Hot Mess Lake House laundry room again, and I guess you could kind of consider this demo day number 2, but we are going to attempt to put things back together until we hit a major roadblock at the end. So stay tuned because it's really so much fun. We're doing great. That's actually why I took a week off last week, because I was like, what am I going to do? Yikes. Anyway, there were all of these little like slats left in where the closet used to be, because that's where all of the wood was nailed into. So I did need to just take those down. I'm using a wider like trim puller because I find that for like thin, frail things, it's a lot easier to pull out, you know, kind of like trim would be on, you know, the wall. Because if you use a normal crowbar, then it can kind of snap. I mean, it was still snapping, but I got it off pretty easily, and then I used a normal crowbar to take out any of the nails. And basically we're trying to get this drywall as flat as we can to fill all of the holes, patch all of the different places, and get it not looking crusty. I then took out the rest of the screws and nails and everything that was on the other side of the wall, and let me tell you, there were so many. It was like a random assortment of screws and nails, and then yeah, it was, not all of them were very easy to get out. You can see there's a lot of holes in the wall, so we definitely are gonna have to go with our hole filler everywhere. But before we do that, we need to kind of like make sure the edges are all smooth and good to go. So I use my utility blade to just kind of like score off the bigger chunky pieces, and then I laid down my drywall, and this is actually super easy to cut. This is definitely the easiest part of drywall installation. You just use a T-square to cut a straight line after you've measured it out, and then you can snap it and cut the other side of the paper, and it's super easy. It comes out really clean every time. Now I do highly recommend for large pieces having a second set of hands. That makes it a lot easier, but you can do this pretty easily by yourself. So go off, independence. And then I just use some drywall screws to go ahead and screw them in. Now, here is where we're gonna get to the fun part. Well, I didn't notice this before, but where the sink was, the baseboard looks rotted. There's something black under there, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that there might be mold, which is why I'm suited up. And I have a mask on, but I didn't notice the wall is like crumbling. Obviously that's not safe, we can't leave it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and see what's behind there, take it off and replace it no matter what. So let's do it. So this is actually only problem number 1. We ran into another problem, so definitely stay tuned. But I don't know how I didn't notice this before. I guess because the sink was covering it, but it was crusty as heck. So I just used my multi-tool to carefully like cut out small pieces, because obviously there is plumbing behind there. And then I peeled it back to reveal this. Oh my God. Yeah, that is definitely some mold. So we cut out the rest of the piece and pulled it back, and obviously disposed of all of this. Now I do need to spray the wood with like a bleach mixture and figure all of that out. But I was like, before I do that, let's go ahead and pull up the floors, because I kind of thought that like the rest of our house, that the subfloor under here was going to be wood. And I was like, if more wood underneath needs to get sprayed, like if it's spread, I might just need to replace all of the plywood and just spray the other part. But like, let's see what we're working with under that first. And that is when I started running into problem number 2. But first, before we talk about that, I also needed to just cut a little bit more of the ceiling, because I needed for my new piece of drywall that I'm going to be hanging next time to have somewhere to adhere to, and obviously it needs somewhere on both sides to adhere to, so I needed part of that like truss exposed, so I had something to drill it into. So I just quickly, while I had my multi-tool out, did that as well. Then it was time to pull up this linoleum. So I took off that little, like, what's it called? I don't know, edge banding or whatever that goes into the garage, and it was disgusting, might I add. There was like so much crustiness under there. And then it was the floor was already peeling up in the corner, and I really thought it was going to be a lot easier, but here is me very clearly struggling. Now, this is when I realized, oh my gosh, one, I'm probably not going to be able to pull this up, and two, there's 2 layers of linoleum. There are 2 layers of linoleum. I don't know how I didn't see this when I took out the closet. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. So I watched a few YouTube videos, and there's a piece of plywood in between because they like glued the plywood down on the first linoleum, and then glued the linoleum on top of that. And this is when I realized, okay, you know what? This house was built before 1970, so we might just have a problem. After I was cutting all of that, I was like, let's do the right thing and check for asbestos. So I ordered this kit off Amazon. It's not sponsored or anything. It's just the one that they could get it to me overnight, and it says that it will come back within 24 hours. So let's go ahead and just like open it up and see how it works. Well, that's nice. It came with the mask. It came with this little envelope. I'm assuming that's where like the little sample goes, or it goes in this and then in the envelope. And it came with gloves, which that's nice and all, but I'll probably use my other ones. Have the hands of a child. Anyway, I would like to use this time to educate myself and you guys on asbestos. I don't really know exactly what it is. My dogs are playing, sorry. I just know that it's like a hazardous material that they used to use, and so if your house was built before 1970, essentially, you probably have it somewhere. Like, it's fine if it's on your siding or whatever, but you just can't break it up because that's what puts it into the air, and then it does something to your lungs. You won't really find out for like 50 years, but I don't want to find out in 50 years that I have asbestos issues. Materials that it can be in is drywall, joint compound, popcorn ceilings, stucco, plaster, floor tiles, vinyl tiles, ceramic tiles, linoleum, sheet floor, insulation, TSI, I don't know what TSI is, cement pipes, mastic, glue, and adhesive, which that's the part I'm most concerned about, is the adhesive that's on the linoleum. I didn't know that it could actually be in linoleum itself. Hi, that Oliver's here. Let's read the instructions. Shut down any heating or cooling systems to minimize the spread of any released fibers. One thing I will note is I bought an air purifier on Amazon, and it was only like 80 bucks. It has been running in there the entire time since I have pulled anything up, just to make sure that we're all like good to go. You should definitely use an air purifier when you're doing renovation, any like demo work and stuff, because it gets quite dusty and it's pretty nasty, if you ask me. Sorry, I'm apparently British now. Do not disturb the material any more than is needed to take a small sample. Wet the material using a fine mist of water containing a few drops of detergent before taking the sample. That's interesting. I definitely wouldn't have thought to do that. So there's like a cement subfloor. There's glued down linoleum. That's the first layer. Then glued on top of that linoleum, I'm assuming so they could get a smooth surface to put down the new linoleum, they put down like a thin piece of plywood, and they used a lot of glue. So it'll be the same glue that they used to then glue the other linoleum on top of it. And so we should be covering all bases if we just test the bottom one, because I don't think I can send in more than like one sample in the little thing. Cut, scrape only a small piece of material. All materials can be grouped into 2 categories. Friable, i.e. the material can be crushed into powder by hand, acoustic sealing spray, so like popcorn sealing, or non-friable, floor tile, siding, etc. These amounts are adequate for testing. For the ones that can crumble, 1 teaspoon, and then for the non-crumbly ones, which is what we have, it says 1 square inch piece is enough. All right, I guess let's go test our linoleum and make sure it doesn't have asbestos. So everybody keep your fingers freaking crossed. Now, I just pulled this sample up and sent it out today, so I'm really hoping that we're going to have results by next week on Thursday. I'll definitely let you know, but it says that it's probably not going to make it there for a few days. So I guess stay tuned and make sure that you guys subscribe for more.